Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. All right. What's going on, Sean? Ain't seen you in a while, brother. Hope everything's good with you. What's going on, Robert? going on, Mr. Williams? I think my voice is a little better today. Not too bad. Not as bad as usual. How you doing, Michelle? Hope you're doing well, sister. I'm good, fam. Yeah, hey, you gotta do what we gotta do. We gotta do what we gotta do, Sean. I get your hours changed on the plantation, brother. That's how life is. Gotta pay bills no matter what. I feel you. forgot all about we were supposed to meet today. I forgot all about it. My ass was knocked out. I forgot all about it. I didn't know you called until I just got my phone. I forgot all about it. Shit. I forgot we were doing that Zoom call. We're doing the comic. We're doing tomorrow. We're doing tomorrow. I'll be at the house tomorrow still. We're doing tomorrow. I forgot all about it. I forgot all about that thing. I was asleep. Man. Yeah, you guys call me in the morning. Sometime when they wake up. I'll be ready. I forgot all about it. I was in slumber, damn it. Too busy sleeping. Like it's good. 1 2 1 2. Check 1. Check it all. Check 1. Check 2. Chief. All right, family. Get this party started off right. Here we go. Now I want to say welcome back to everybody to the Black Hot Fire Network show. I'm your host, Mr. Black Hot Fire, always on that ass. Now, I want to give a shout out to everybody watching on Facebook, everybody watching on Instagram, everybody watches on YouTube, everybody watches on, what's the new thing, Twitter / Periscope. Everybody listen to us on the flagship station, BlackHotFireNetwork.com, because we're one of the only international radio shows broadcasting on both continents, North America and Africa. So here we go. Strap on your headgear. Woo! Come on. Black Hot Fire. Woo! No applause yet. Might not like what I'm doing. Let that get up in you. Let that get up in you. Black Hot Fire. As I proceed to give you what you need to get you through another white supremacist week in this bitch. Black, hot, fire. Come on. Big T's. What's going on, Miss Walker? What's going on, G-Man? Black. Hot. Right. Come on. That's what we find today. Black. Hot. Right. That's what we find today. All right. Once I want to say much love to all the Melanated family. See if everybody can hear me clearly. Everybody hear me all right? Okay, this is too loud. All right. I didn't know what was going through my thing. How's everybody doing this evening? Hopefully my voice is a little bit better. You know, my voice gets traumatized doing all these shows. So, if you guys don't know, we had the privilege of watching the most ridiculous case I think I've ever seen. It's been the most idiotic, moronic display of white supremacy, open and clear white supremacy that I've ever seen. I mean, the case has been hilarious. It's been funny. If you guys been paying attention to this goofy case, it's funny. We're going to do the backdrop, but, you know, I want to ponder. How my backdrop went out. How my backdrop go up? Oh, come on. Cast. Anyway, I know my thing went out anyway. But anyway, this got to be one of the most goofy cases I've ever seen. Like I said, I went to law school. I found this thing so ridiculous, so moronically idiotic that the white supremacists cannot handle themselves. And you got the goofy judge, right? He's more or less becoming a defense attorney for Kyle Rittenhouse himself. Every time the prosecuting attorney makes a motion or a statement about Kyle's behavior that day, late summer of 2020, he's being stopped before he can get his paragraphs out. You know what I'm saying? Before he can get anything out, he's being stopped by the judge. And I've never seen this happen. Not this openly, not this blatant. Where they're trying to make sure that this boy does not do any time for killing 2 individuals and wounding a third, right? The ideal that a 17-year-old child, you know, whether he's black, he be a man, right, can take a semi-automatic weapon across state lines and shoot 3 people and have nothing happen to them is only because of white supremacy, right? We got to acknowledge that. It's an open shut case as far as that's concerned. And as I'm watching this clown white supremacy, it is insane. You got the mother, she's laughing part of the time, then she's crying when the cameras are back on her. You know? And everybody's trying to save this no good little bastard, right? We know before he killed these individuals, he was already having problems in school. Because there were videos out there last year, guys remember him beating up a young lady. A young girl in school, so he already had behavioral problems. And we know he was clicked in with all the white supremacists. That's why they raised so much money, right? When he got charged with these crimes. They raised so much money so quickly, and all your white supremacists came out the woodwork to defend this criminal. That's what this kid is, a criminal. If any black woman would have took their black 17-year-old, let's say Breonna Taylor's case, for example. Now, I'm not defending what's that dude's name? Grandmaster Jay. What's it, Grandmaster Jay? I'm not defending the guy or being part of his goopy militia, but didn't last year they tried to lock him up for supposedly pointing his weapon in the direction of somebody? Not even shooting somebody. They wanted to lock him up for life for pointing his weapon towards supposedly some law enforcement officer. Supposedly, right? Him being black, they wanted to lock him up for how many years? I think it was like 20, 30 years for supposedly pointing his gun in their direction, right? But this 17-year-old kid can take his semi-automatic weapon across state lines and shoot 3 people, kill 2. And so I'm going to go into this. We're going to go through the whole backstory again. Little K-boy going to walk and the judge. Yeah. That's right, K. Williams. Now the judge may be around retirement age. He's openly white supremacy. But it's so in your face, and every right-wing wacko out here is crying that this no good little bastard should never even been charged with the murder of these innocent people. Now we know this because of Jacob Blake being shot in the back. What was it, like 9 times, 7 times? Let me go and read it because I can't remember exactly how many times Mr. Blake was shot in the back. Now this is a result to that. But the judge is also trying to call these people criminals and thugs because you have a law enforcement system in America that's gone amok and openly murders black people without any recourse. And everyone knows it, but the white supremacists. Now I want you to know, as white supremacists, you're dealing with a psychopathic civilization. You're dealing with psychopaths. Their natural nature that they are psychopathic. You know, you're not allowed to say this in decent company because guess what? They got control of the planet. But you're not allowed to say this in polite company. That white people as a community and as a civilization are psychopathic. That me saying this sounds like I'm unhinged and I'm crazy. But that's the diagnosis you would have to give these people. They're psychopaths. And that's not me just saying that. There have been numerous peer-reviewed studies from psychologists, sociologists, and psychiatrists alike. Now, a lot of these studies don't allow to be made the light of day. They're not allowed to get to the light of day, of course. Why not? Because it affects white people. They don't want to know that they're psychopaths. They're psychopathic. But any dealing with these people on a long-term period, if you wasn't a moron, you would come up with the same conclusion that everything they build, every system, they incorporate their psychopathic behavior into it. So law enforcement being no different. So sadly enough, black people being on the bottom, we get the brunt of their psychopathic behavior and murdering us off with impunity. And sadly enough, we were supposed to stand by through time immemorial and allow these people to continue murdering us without any pushback. See, if we push back, we're crazy, we're violent, we're looters and thugs. Right? We're looters and thugs. And they kind of fight back. So what you see happen was an explosion, because we know this was after that hot summer of black people burning shit up and burning shit down to the ground because of police brutality, being kicked out with George Floyd, along with Breonna Taylor, and other crimes. I can't pronounce the brother's name. The one down in Georgia, getting shot by the white supremacists, and nothing was done, nothing to see here. Ahmaud Arbery. So don't let the white supremacists believe that this was not a buildup of black rage, of injustice, of being innocently murdered in the streets, while nothing being done by these psychopaths. Each and every time we're murdered, they tell you the murder is justified, no matter how heinous the crime may be, because some goofy white supremacist has one of these ridiculous badges on that's supposed to give them life authority over your life. And so, let me read something. Let me read this article. We want to start off with things, of what we need to know about how this whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing started last year. But I'm sure everybody's still familiar with it, right? Sure, everybody's still familiar with it. But like I said, the case itself is it's the funniest thing in the world. And that's how you know you're dealing with a bunch of psychopaths. This judge is moronically white supremacist psychopath. See, like I said, he's got to be reaching retirement age because he doesn't care, because he's out there openly defending Kyle Rittenhouse. He's supposed to be a fair and impartial judge to the state. But I've seen no impartiality with this cornball, racist ass white supremacist judge. And that's what we can call him, because that's what he's clearly showing. Right? He's been openly defending the defendant. It's crazy. Let me read this first. Okay, so it goes on to say, Kyle Rittenhouse is standing trial for shooting of 3 men two of whom died in the immediate aftermath of demonstrations in Kenosha, Wisconsin on August 25, 2020. The demonstrations erupted after Kenosha police officer had shot and wounded a black man named Jacob Blake. The episode, captured on cell phone video, came at a time of protests across the country over the killing of George Floyd and a police abuse of black Americans. Of course it did. See, they always want to leave that little caveat out. That the reason why they wasn't thugs. They went out there just thugging. They would say these are thugs and looters. Because that's what the defendants want to classify them as in Kyle Rittenhouse's case. That these were just unhinged thugs out there rioting without no purpose. They were out there rioting and looting because they're thugs. Thug life, and these bastards with thug life. And not that it was a response to the wicked ass racial practices of law enforcement being prejudicial to black people by enforcing deadly force on them for minor infractions. See, minor infractions lead to our death. In this wicked ass system, minor infractions that everyone incurs in their life happens to murder us. How about that? And white people being psychopathic, they tell you it's nothing to see. It's all an illusion in your mind. If we break down, we get shot. Shout out to old boy in Oklahoma who just broke down. They shot him. He looked like a bad dude. He got shot and murdered. Sandra Bland gets hung in a cell. Trayvon Martin, 12 years old, playing the part, gets his fucking head blown away. Nothing to see here. No one's get prosecuted. And so our lives have become cannon fodder. But black people are not allowed to get no justice, so they've been slowly implementing a system of non-justice for black people that goes against our humanity if we don't step up and push back on it. Because I told you, they've always wanted to murder us with impunity. That's the whole thing these psychopaths do. Now you're going to tell me, oh yeah, there's some good white people. Okay. Laws of averages tell me, okay, there might be 2 or 3. I don't know none of them. And I don't got time to pick out the 2 or 3 when the majority of them are psychopaths. Okay? So I don't got time to pick out the 1, 2, 3 the good white people that are your buddies. The majority of them are psychopaths. Because that's why this system of injustice perpetuates itself generation after generation, because they agree with it. Understand it? So don't get caught up with the right wing and the left wing nonsense. They're all team white supremacy when it comes to murdering us. That's one thing you must always understand. When it comes to murdering us, they always get on code. That's why the system of oppression has not changed. That's why the killings have not changed. That's why this case is so ridiculously funny. It's white supremacy on steroids. It's completely crazy. You would think this is a comedy skit out of Saturday Night Live. You would think this is a comedy skit. This goofy kid with the fake tears, the judge getting mad if you say anything about somebody being a victim. If you're shot and you're unarmed, I guess that would make you a victim. But the judge said you can't even be called a victim in his courtroom. You're shot. You don't have any weapons. You're shot by somebody from another state. Of course. Now I'm not gonna skirt the issue and try to be funny and say he didn't have nothing to do with the community. He did. because his father was living there and he used to go back and forth and work in that community. So we'll say he had some attachment to that community. But that don't give you the right to go around shooting innocent people, right? Where the judge doesn't allow you to call them victims. See, this white supremacy already working itself out as blatant. It's psychopathic. But this is what they do. Somebody can finish reading this thing. So, okay, so where we go? Okay, abuse of black Americans. Okay, we got just that. Kenosha experienced widespread looting, arson, and property destruction in the days after Mr. Blake was shot. The shooting by Mr. Rittenhouse, which he contends were committed in self-defense, occurred on the third night of protests in the city. Now, if a 17-year-old kid wouldn't have been up there to begin with, who mothers allows them to go up there with a semi-automatic weapon? Because remember, his mother drove him there. But if you were black and you was a black mother and drove your child to a place where you didn't live at and you murdered 3 people that were unarmed, you better believe a black woman will also be standing a trial for endangerment of a minor and setting a riot and possibly manslaughter. But she would be on trial as well. You can bet your ass on that. Okay, so Mr. Rittenhouse, which contends he were committed self-defense, occurred on the night after Riddle. Okay. The charges are 3rd-degree intentional homicide. We know that he intended to kill the people because he shot at them. Attempted 1st-degree intentional homicide. 1st-degree reckless homicide. Reckless endangerment, 2 counts. Carrying a firearm illegally as a minor. How about that? See, we don't even bring that illegally as a minor. Now we know Wisconsin has open and carry laws, but he's a minor, he's 17 years old. So that responsibility goes back on the mother again, right? Now, if you guys want to feel some, please call in. Call number 850-368-9102. Phone lines are back up. 850-368-9102. Call in if you feel like you want to tell me how you feel about this. Because look, he was a minor. Being transported across state lines by his goopy mother. Semi-automatic weapon. Now, can you imagine how the law will come down on any black mother that cooperated with this kind of nonsense, that encouraged this kind of criminality? A black mother will be thrown under the jail. Her trial will begin right after her goopy son. Or they might be tried together as co-conspirators. You get that? If you was black, a black mother and a black son, you might be tried as co-conspirators in these murders. But since you're white, you get the fake cry in the courtroom. Oh, look at my son. Oh, you see me? Is the jury looking at me? Why? They need to get an Oscar award. They go your Oscar, you old corny white broad. Clapping. So the whole thing is hilarious on its face. Self-defense, you shouldn't have been there to be put in that situation. How's it self-defense when you're a child and your mother takes you across state lines? And I don't nobody shut this white supremacist up so you get this work. Now, now you can feel free to call in 850-368. Don't be in the chat room. Call in and get this work. Since you say it was self-defense, have you ever heard of? Have you ever heard a 17-year-old child is illegal to cross state lines with a semi-automatic weapon? How about that? Now, he always did a crime when he came across state lines with a semi-automatic weapon. So how's it self-defense? He's supposed to stay his goopy ass at the house. This had nothing to do with him. So they go to number. Call in and get this work. Or shut the fuck up. White people love to come in people's chat room. Call in. Don't be no coward. Defend your position. Defend it. You white people say the most asinine things. You know why? Because you're psychopaths. The idea that this was any kind of self-defense means you are a moron. He put himself in harm's way, so there is no damn self-defense. You moron. You moronic psychopath. But that's what you are naturally. Now, I want you to keep saying moronic, idiotic nonsense. Because you're psychopaths. He had no business being up there in the first place. See, you never put that together, do you, you psychopath? You never put that together. Why was he there? Wasn't there to defend nobody. So anyway, reckless endangerment, carrying a firearm as a minor illegally. The homicide charges equivalent to what other states call murder charges carry a maximum sentence of life in prison. Mr. Rittenhouse is now 18, was 17 when the shooting took place. He lived with his mother in Antioch, Illinois, just over the border from Wisconsin. His father lived in Kenosha, as I said. Mr. Rittenhouse had worked for a time as a lifeguard in Kenosha County and kept a military-style semi-automatic rifle in Wisconsin, which the authorities said had been purchased for him by a friend. Long before the shooting, Mr. Rittenhouse's social media accounts were full of posts supporting the police and Blue Lives Matter. He has been a cadet in a program for young, aspiring police officers. But along with that, they don't tell you about the white supremacist posts that he had, right? They don't tell you nothing about that. Blacks don't care about black on black, but crawl in. Don't. The number is 850-368-9102. Let's call in. Let's figure out black on black crime together. Let's figure it out together, man. Let's figure out us worry about black on black crime together. Let's try to figure it out. Let's work it out. Call in so we can come up with some solutions on this black on black crime thing. Let's work on some solutions together. Okay? So here we go. So, Mr. You guys that care about the white on white crime when this dude beat up the white girl. You guys don't focus on white on white crime. When Kyle Rittenhouse beat this young high school girl up. You weren't concerned about that white on white crime. See, as black people, we're about all crime, all injustice. That's who we are as black people. We can consider ourselves people of the world. We're concerned about everybody being treated fairly. Sadly enough, that's usually black people. We're concerned about everybody being treated fairly. That's who we are. So, and that might be it. Okay, so these are the people who were shot. So Joseph Rosenbaum, 36 of Kenosha, who was killed. Anthony Hubert, 26, who lived in Kenosha, was killed and was a medic. Oh, he killed the medic? And Greg Guys Gross Kits, I can't pronounce that goofy name. 26 at the time. Okay, he was the medic from West. So was this medic a terrorist? Was this medic a terrorist and a looter? This medic was a terrorist and a violent looter. This white medic was out there being a violent terrorist and looter, as these phony white supremacists always try to make things out to be. Now this is for all the violent murders you've done against black people. Anybody, you black, you white people, never want to speak out when you're murdering us indiscriminately. But call in. Let's call in. See, we're not the ones dying. You're the ones dying out. So I think we can spare a few people to die. If goofy Negroes want to get together and kill each other, I think it's a good idea. Who am I to stop them? Who am I? See, we're the majority on the planet. See, I know, is that critical race theory? Is this critical race theory? You find this out. See, black people are the majority on the planet. Not the Asians, not the East Indians, the African. So we can spare a few. Is this critical race theory? Is this blowing your mind? Is this critical race theory? Is this critical race theory? Ah, critical race theory. And his mother should be locked. His mother should be locked up. Didn't die. Antifa. What's Antifa? That's that's something you white people created. We don't got to do with Antifa, fake ass Black Lives Matter for homosexuals. Black people ain't got nothing to do with that. Antifa. I have never seen an Antifa in my life. That's something right wingers say. There's Antifa out there. What Antifa? Where is it? Anybody in the chat room? I've been all over the country. Have you guys ever seen anybody from this Antifa these right wingers always talk about? Can somebody tell me how to join Antifa? Has anybody seen this Antifa? Antifa. This the fake boogeyman they make up. Has anybody met Antifa? Exactly. Nobody's ever seen this mysterious Antifa but the right wing. Antifa, but everybody's seen the Boogaloo Boys, the Proud Boys, and all these other white supremacist groups. I've never seen any Antifa in my life, except for white people talking about Antifa was out there. Antifa. Never seen any damn Antifa in all my life. And black people were burning those neighborhoods down that you people own. It was a response to police brutality. That we're not going to just be killed in this. Can you guys hear me? Okay, I'm still live. You guys can hear me, right? Can you guys hear me? All right, let me know if you guys can hear. You guys hear me? Am I still here? Still audible? Okay. So, Robert Blake was killed in the back for breaking up a fight 5 times by some white supremacist cop. 9 times. Overkill. Well, he's not going to ever walk again. Should have died. But this Kyle Rittenhouse gets to run through the neighborhood. He gets to run all crazy. His big old fat sloppy ass. And now he's protecting people. He shoots 2 people, 3 people, runs, police won't even shoot at his ass because in the same clique, a white supremacist. So, I'm just thinking this one. So, anyway. All right, you guys hear me again? Okay, you guys hear me. All right, cool. Okay. All right, you guys hear me? All right, so then, you'll never call it. So, anyway, let me go first read this. So, so the medic from he's an Antifa medic. He's a medic from Antifa. These psychopaths. He's a medic from Antifa. He's Antifa. And how Antifa just always shows up. Antifa. Where these? Somebody got Antifa number? What chapter was that in Wisconsin that day? How they got all these chapters everywhere? What chapter of Antifa was that? Anyway, okay, so the medic from West Allis, Wisconsin, he was shot in the arm and survived. He was an Antifa member. He's a medic from Antifa. Now, the trial judge has reiterated a long-standing rule that because the questions of self-defense is at issue, we know in the trial, the people who were shot cannot be referred to as a victim in this courtroom. That has nothing to do with whether you say you're on self-defense. Whether someone can be labeled as a victim or not. Those are this is the barriers he's putting up in his courtroom. It's a courtroom of pure, over-the-top, moronic, glorified white supremacists on display. It's blatant. And see, that's why these white supremacists are all up in the world, right? Don't delete his message. I'm going to see what he got to say. No, don't delete this guy. I can't get you back up. I can't get you back up on if I want to, man. I don't know how to do this thing. I don't know how to get you back up, and even if I tried to. No. I can't get. You look, I don't know how to get you back in here. Nah. I don't know how to get your ass back on here. My phone acting up. Oh well. Hey, unblock that dude. Stop blocking people. Anyway, so So on the evening of August 25th, demonstrators filled Civic Center Park in downtown Kenosha across from a barricaded courthouse defended by police officers and National Guard troops. Also present were people dressed in camouflage and carrying rifles with ammunition strapped on their chests. Legal for adults in Wisconsin, an open carry state. Some protesters threw fireworks and water bottles at police officers who responded with tear gas and rubber bullets. The crowd was eventually driven out of Civic Center Park and down Sheridan Road, a main thoroughfare. By late evening, most protesters had left the area, but some remained on Sheridan Road, occasionally scuffling and arguing with several dozen who said they were there to defend the city. Video taken that night showed Mr. Rittenhouse, who had joined a group of armed people who said they were there to protect businesses, was milling around on Sheridan Road and offering supposedly medical assistance to protest. How they offering medical assistance? See, this is the lie about them offering medical assistance to protesters. They were there to stop the protesters, they said. So they wouldn't be offering no medical assistance. Why would they need it if you're not the one shooting them? See, this is from supposedly a left-wing paper, the New York Times. See, white supremacy plays both sides of an argument. How am I there to help the protesters? I got guns to shoot their ass. I'm there to stop them. See, it's oxymoronic. Doesn't make sense. A man nearby fired a handgun into the air just as Mr. Rittenhouse turned around the sound of turned towards the sound of the gunfire. Mr. Rosenbaum lunged at Mr. Rittenhouse, fired 4 times, shooting Mr. Rosenbaum in the head, the video shows. Yeah, so he said the guy lunged at him, and Cal shot the man 4 times in the head. Shot the man 4 times in the damn head. So, Mr. Rittenhouse then fled down Sheridan Road with at least a dozen members of the crowd in pursuit. One could hear the crowd yelling, "That's the shooter." Moments later, Mr. Rittenhouse tripped and fell and then fired at 2 more people who were pursuing him, Mr. Huber and Mr. Groskitz, whatever his name is. As the police vehicles arrived, Mr. Rittenhouse walked towards them with his arms raised, but they drove past him trying to reach the people who had been shot. Of course they drove past. Nobody ever picked him up. That means free to go home. Free to go back across state lines. Now remember, this is in response to Mr. Blake being shot 9 times trying to break up a family dispute of 2 girls arguing, right? This man was paralyzed for doing that. This moronic ass white supremacist kid crossed state lines, shoot innocent people, goes back home with his weapon in tow and nothing to see here. No one shoots at him. Nothing's done. But these psychopaths, which, hey, this is normal. This was justice being served because these are thugs and looters, right? This medic was part of Antifa, the critical Antifa, the mystical Antifa, the thugs, the looters, and the Antifa. They're all that at once. The thugs, the looters, and the Antifa. Now, how do you be all 3 things and still be a medic? It doesn't matter. They're psychopaths. Let me share my screen. I'm going to show this one thing one day. second.
On August 23rd, 2020, Jacob Blake was shot multiple times in the back by a police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin, after officers responded to a call about a domestic dispute, according to the Wisconsin Department of Justice. Within hours, protests began in the city. On the night of August 25th, 2020, protesters and groups of armed men who said they were there to protect businesses gathered in Kenosha. Among the armed men was then 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse.
We don't have non-lethal.
Using multiple videos
You don't have non-lethal.
verified by ABC News, as well as the criminal complaint against Rittenhouse filed on August 27th, we put together a detailed timeline of the shootings that happened in downtown Kenosha on
We want that again. He said they don't have non-lethal. Play. Now him walking away gets shot 9 times. He's Antifa too. He's Antifa too, right? He's walking away trying to break up a face for the black guys. Antifa too.
On August 23rd, 2020, Jacob Blake was shot multiple times in the back by a police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin, after officers responded to a call about a domestic dispute, according to the Wisconsin Department of Justice. Within hours, protests began in the city. On the night of August 25th, 2020, protesters and groups of armed men who said they were there to protect businesses gathered in Kenosha. Among the armed men was then 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse.
Of course, that's how white supremacy works. There you go.
Multiple videos obtained and verified by ABC News, as well.
Mr. Gerardo, that's how white supremacy works. Of course, he will be found innocent. I want to make no doubt that he will be. I agree with you, Mr. Gerardo. I agree that this racist ass little bastard will be found innocent. I'm sure he will. Help of the judge. By help of the racist ass judge. The antics of the judge, which I'm going to show too. Of course. We're not saying he won't. Are we talking about these are thugs? No, these police that shot this man in the back 9 times were trying to break up a fight of thugs. Medics out there protesting injustice are not thugs, but you being a psychopath. See, call up 850-368-9102. Call up. Don't be scared. Just call up so you get this work.
The criminal complaint against Rittenhouse filed on August 27th. We put together a detailed timeline of the shootings that happened in downtown Kenosha on August 25th, 2020, 2 days after Jacob Blake was shot by the police. This report contains graphic, disturbing images. At 10:04 p.m., a video shows a group of armed men protecting a car shop at the corner of 59th and Sheridan. One young man in a green t-shirt and backwards baseball cap says, A little over an hour later, protesters gathered at an Ultimate gas station at 60th and Sheridan. We see a man who appears to be Joseph Rosenbaum, one of the shooting victims, clash with armed men, also gathered. Back at the car shop at 59th and Sheridan, the same young man who appears to be Kyle Rittenhouse can be seen asking law enforcement for water. And the officers can be heard speaking to the group. At 11:48 p.m., gunshots
That's
rang
in
out.
cheap out there.
First 4 bursts, then 3. A man who police identified as Rittenhouse runs across the parking lot of an auto service shop, followed by a shirtless man who was later identified as Joseph Rosenbaum. Moments later, shots ring out. And the shirtless man falls to the ground. A figure who appears to be Rittenhouse continues running. Seconds later, he comes back into view, and bystanders arrive to help the victim. Rittenhouse can be seen standing by the body, making a phone call. As more people arrive, he runs away out of frame, and someone seems to be heard saying, "I shot somebody." At 11:49, multiple videos show Rittenhouse running down the street as a pursuer tries to hit him. Rittenhouse is being chased by several people when he appears to stumble and fall to the ground. While on the ground, police say he fires at least 4 shots, striking 2 people. Anthony Huber is shot and lies motionless in the street. Gage Grosskreutz is shot in the arm and appears to be holding a handgun, according to the criminal complaint. Rittenhouse gets up and runs down the street as police arrive at the scene. People in the crowd can be heard yelling.
Hey, he just shot them!
Rittenhouse raises his hands while his rifle hangs around his torso, and a number of police vehicles drive past him. He walks towards a squad car which is parked near the First United Methodist Church. This is the last time we see him on video ABC News obtained. Rittenhouse was not arrested that night in Kenosha.
Last night, a 17-year-old individual from Antioch, Illinois, was involved.
I'll tell you in a minute, Ms. Walker.
Police issued an arrest warrant for him the next day, and Kyle Rittenhouse turned himself in Antioch, Illinois. He was arrested on multiple charges, including first-degree intentional homicide. According to police, Rittenhouse said he was in Kenosha to resolve whatever conflict was in place. In an earlier interview, Rittenhouse said he was there to protect businesses and help people. Rittenhouse's lawyer released a 3-page statement, arguing his client feared for his life and was acting in self-defense. The shooting left 2 people dead and another injured. Kyle Rittenhouse pleaded not guilty to charges including first-degree reckless homicide, first-degree intentional homicide, and first-degree recklessly endangering safety. The trial will begin in November 2021, more than a year after his arrest. If convicted, the now 18-year-old faces life in prison.
Oh, cool. All right, who we got calling in?
Hello, you wanted me to call in, sir?
Yes, I did. Hold on, my phone ain't working right. Hold on, damn it. Yes, I did. Hold on, give me a second. Hold on, give me 1 minute. Hold on, son. Hold on, give me a second. Let me use this. Hold on, give me 1 second. Hold on, try this. Hold on, yeah, give me 1 second. All right. Let's see. All right, hold on. Go ahead. Say something now.
So your phone's not working now?
It's working now. It's working now. It's working. No, I had to fix it. It's working now. Hold on. Let me get out of this. Hold on. It's working now. It ain't working out now. No. You good to go. Let me stop this right here. Stop this casting. Let me stop this right here. Okay, hold on. Let me go back to this. All right. Don't go nowhere. You right on time,
This
man.
is 4 doors, sir.
You right on time. All right. Now, we hear you. All right. Now, you right on time? Okay. Now, you want to tell me this is Antifa, right? Right?
Well, sir, yeah. And what I gotta say, sir, is, you dumb Negroes
Us dummies.
you never cease to impress me.
How we cease
with
to
your
impress you?
stupidity.
How's our stupidity? Explain. Help me out. Help me out. Since you're a grade A white supremacist, help me out. Help me out with our stupidity. So why would Kyle Rittenhouse be innocent of murder?
Well, it's obviously self-defense. But
No. Explain this. Wait. Explain it. How's it obvious? I'm a dummy, so I need to be explained to me. Explain to me how it's obvious it's self-defense that a child takes a semi-automatic across state lines when that's illegal to begin with. Now he's out there shooting innocent, unarmed people, and you tell me it's obvious it's self-defense. These people don't have weapons, so how's it self-defense? And tell me, why would a child have the right to have a semi-automatic weapon taken across straight lines? Explain to me like I'm a dummy.
Well, I'm glad you know you're a dummy, sir. First of all,
There you
thank
go.
for noticing that.
I am. So explain to me like I'm a dummy. You showing me that you're the dummy because you can't explain it to me.
Well, if I was to run up on you, sir, and you had a gun, what would you do?
If I read up on you, did what now?
If I was to run up on you to attack you and you had a gun, what would you do?
If I ran up on you and you had a gun, what would I
Oh
do?
my God. Why are you making it so difficult?
I don't know because I'm supposed to be dumb. You telling me I'm dumb?
Do you have an ass head? Hey, Keith, man, you let me get you, man. Good cheese, man.
I kind of knew it was you. I said this big cheese ass. I was kind of going into it. This big cheese ass.
You got an asshole? Keith, man, I've been dying laughing like a motherfucker on this phone, man. What are you going on?
I kind of thought I was hoping that you were the person. This big cheese ass. Goddamn, hoping ain't big cheese.
Hey, man. You got the blue and shit. And then when I called in, you thought that was it. You said, hold on, we got the blue and shit. Out for another 30 minutes. I couldn't do it, man.
That was a good one. Damn. I was like, is that big cheese ass? This sounds like a prank call, damn it. I was hoping like hell it wasn't shit. I was hoping like that. I said this sounds like big cheese ass.
How the hell am I tell me? Explain it. Hey, man, when you said that, I started crying.
I was hoping big cheese. I kind of think I said this big cheese ass. This gotta be a real dude. Come on, man.
Well, you ready to go to war, wasn't you?
Yeah, shit. I'm like, damn, this gotta be a real goddamn white supremacist. God damn it. Oh, shit.
How you been doing, bro?
I'm all right about you, man. We worry about you. How you doing, man? You good?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there, man. I had a few little financial problems I had to get situated with, you know.
Yeah, we just glad you. I'm just glad you're all right. I was worried about you getting that Vaseline. I said, oh shit, I don't know. You disappeared. I was telling the girls. I said, oh, big cheese ain't nowhere in no ditch, man. Shit. Now I feel better, even with the joke. Goddamn it, I feel better you called in. that might be just as good as the goddamn. I got that Ogun juice. Hey, what happened? They whipped my ass. I tried to use the Ogun spray.
I was going to do that one. I was waiting, but I couldn't hold it longer. I said, I'm about 2 minutes. I'm going to say, God damn it, when I asked you, what you do if I run up on you? I was going to say, I'm whipping my ass. But you was going on. I couldn't hold it.
Ah, damn. Hoping your ass wasn't. I was hoping you was that dude inside the chat room. Shit. Damn.
Yeah, that might be a puke tube for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think they be watching you.
They watching all of us now. Shit, you got that right. But anyway, Miss Walker, yeah. I wanted to say no. They have to wait for the trial to run his case to remove. They he's there now. They haven't put a motion to remove his ridiculous ass. So now they have to wait till the trial ends, and they can go in and say misconduct on the judge's part. But them being also, I don't think the prosecution wants to convict his ass either, really. So they're not gonna do that.
No, that's just they trying to look like the prosecution
exactly.
And the judge are getting into it.
Exactly.
But they setting it up. But to me, I think they setting it up for the judge to take all the blame and not the system of white supremacy.
Yeah, just like Big Cheese is saying, yeah, because he's so blatantly over the top. He's probably pushing retirement. He's old as hell, so so blatantly over the top with this cat. He doesn't. What are you talking about? I don't want you saying nothing. What word? Don't call nobody a damn victim up in here. Hold on now. He over the top with it. He's like, he over the top with it, Big Cheese.
He worse than Joe Biden calling Satchel Paige a Negro.
Did he call him a magnificent Negro or something like that? a magnificent Negro. That's a magnificent Negro. That judge is so damn biased he can't even hide it. Yeah, he's not trying to hide it, Dina. That's what I'm talking about. That's what makes it so great. He's in your face. That's how you know he's probably pushing retirement. He's taking one for the team. He's purposely showing you. He's not hiding it, Dina. He's not trying to hide it. He's purposely being a defense for Kyle Rittenhouse. Yeah. Purposely.
And then the media gonna give they're gonna use him as the father. Everybody gonna blame him instead of the system.
Yeah,
that's protecting.
The judge is ridiculous. The judge is ridiculous. So they go, what they would do in normal circumstances, they would go in and say, no, the judge is openly biased. We gotta, we're gonna ask for the judge to also be disbarred and taken off the bench, and we need to go ahead and get another trial going. But I don't think, like Big Chief said, I don't think the prosecutors gonna do that. It was like, well, there's no way we could win the case. You see, the people, they said no. You know, the jury said no. We're not gonna pursue that. We're not gonna waste no more money, time on that. It's on to the next thing. There's nothing to see here. Yeah. Because it's so openly.
They all know each other. Prosecutor, defense attorney, they all be knowing each other.
Of course, they all buddies. They all go. Remember, they all when you go any kind of lawyer, you know, you are friends of the court. You work for the system, and you protect the system at all costs. You learn that in law school, that you're all part of the same system. So, of course, they're all buddies. But this is, like you said, this is so blatantly over the top where it's just ridiculous. It's funny. And you see all the white supremacists coming in here trying to defend everybody's Antifa. You didn't see nobody out there having no Antifa. They didn't say anything because they're psychopaths. Understand? Natural fall people are psychopathic. They can't. Yeah. But you can't see, they can't have any empathy or any rationality for their behavior. The psychopaths.
That's the part that still puzzles, where it still fucks me up, man. Like when I think I got him figured out, but to calling this dude a hero, that's man, what the fuck is wrong with these people?
The psychopaths. What's wrong with the psychopaths?
They call George Zimmerman goes to a gun show and they go get his autograph. What the fuck what makes him a hero to them? Him killing a teenager coming from the store. That's a hero to them.
Yeah, you're talking about psychopaths.
People don't really grasp that sometimes, you know?
No. You don't understand it. Say racism has often been described as a condition that stems from ignorance, but it's not. Researchers have found that people with certain personality disorders, white people, they will say certain people, them, they have personality disorders. They've already been diagnosed. This is not my opinion. They've already been diagnosed. Their culture, them as people, have been diagnosed as psychopaths. And that's why you got the elite psychopaths trying to do you know what to the whole world. That we cannot speak here, trying to do you know what to the world. The elite psychopaths are trying to do what to the whole world. Give everybody Vaseline. Vaseline is all down. So, it's telling you right here, it says racism has often been described as a condition that stems from ignorance. But researchers, of course, have found that people that are racist, I'm talking about white people, have personality disorders, are more likely to respond to racist attitudes. A recent study published in the Personality and Individual Differences Journal found a link between racism and psychopathy. Psychopathy. And psychopathy. Racism and psychopathy. See, you're not allowed to say this in polite circles. You're not allowed to say this in polite. Because you say, well, what's wrong with these people? As Big Chief just said, they just think worse than somebody killing a child come back with a bag of Skittles. Yes, black people can never fathom how wicked these bastards are. It blows your mind. So that's why I told you, when me and Big Chief talking about the mask and things like that, everybody's coming at me. I told you last year they were going to do something to try to wipe our ass out. And Leo was like, hey, how can you say this? What do you mean? What's going to happen? What do you mean? That phone call that brother called was all mad at me, Big Cheese, and Bet on Black. What do you mean? We're dying. Oh, we got to do what we got to do. Oh, it's scary. Motherfucker was Chicken Little. Thought the sky was going to fall on his black ass. Because he doesn't understand white people. Understand he's a psychopath. Nigga thought he was Chicken Little. Sky is falling, niggas. What's wrong with you niggas? He got real mad when Big Cheese called and joked. I got my old goon spray. What's wrong with you, nigga? Don't you hear me? Sky's falling. So that nigga was Chicken Little, boy.
Hey, I'm gonna drop down, Keith.
All right, appreciate you, Big Cheese. Much love, family. So here we go. So it said so. Big Cheese messed me. I was wishing I was a damn white supremacist. Okay. So most black people don't understand globally that you're dealing with psychopathy, right? The psychopaths. Your great white friend that you like, at any dime, he'll switch on you in a minute because their natural fallback position is being a psychopath. It's not my opinion. I've been studying for years. People get mad. You got the Cynthia G and the other morons. Get your white man. Or these other morons. Get your white woman. And you're in there. We already know what the other stuff they are. Not only are you dealing with a humanized animal, you're dealing with a psychopath. And everybody's been with these people. I've heard the same crazy stories. I'm not going to say. All right? Same crazy stories. But anyway, so it's telling you right here. Peer-reviewed study right here, right? Published in the Personality and Individual Difference Journal found a link between racism and psychopathy. Psychopaths. A psychiatric disorder characterized by a lack of empathy. Told you. As Big Cheese just said. They have no empathy. The psychopaths. So when they see you getting shot, and I told you, and black people get mad when I told you this years ago, it brings them joy to see you all messed up till you get shot. It brings them a warm feeling. Black people can't understand this because you have taken no time to study these people. You didn't realize all the horror movies coming in, stabbing people. Black people usually like that. They like things that stab and motherfuckers. All these crying, all these horror movies. You don't know what's behind all this craziness. Yeah. So it's telling you right here, the lack of empathy. They get joy. I know it's hard for people, but I say this to wrap your mind around this. They get joy in seeing you in pain. Seeing you get shot 9 times. Bow, 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 bow. They get joy in it. And they can't see justice done to them in no shape or form whatsoever. Let me read this. It's need time to do that judge. Time to go in that judge. That's about right, Dina. Okay, so recently study published in Personality and Individual Differences, right? Let me do this here. Let me share my screen. So recent study published in Personality Individual Differences Journal found a link between racism and psychopathy, a psychiatric disorder characterized by a lack of empathy, superficial charm, pathology, lying. They always lie. They always lie about everything. Anything white people bring you, it's a damn lie. Mostly everything they bring you is a lie. I was trying to teach Joby and Katie, looking all crazy when I had destroyed some of their heroes this week. Again. You know, we can't tell none of our parents this stuff you be teaching me. They'll disown us because your parents are morons. Sadly enough, your parents are morons, as most black people are. So anyway, so it says, superficial charm, pathological lying, a grandiose sense of self-worth, that's the manipulation, and other traits. Now this explains white people to a T, right? Superficial charm, but pathological liars, a grandiose sense of self-worth, manipulation, and other traits. The definition of racism may vary depending on the context in which it is used, but typically racism describes the belief that certain group of people are fundamentally different from or superior to other groups based on their race. Racism also refers to the structural oppression that empowers or privileges white people while disadvantaging or subjugating black, indigenous, or other people of color. So we know when you tell them that you're ain't nothing wrong with you, ain't no racism. You ain't disadvantaged because somebody shoot you in the face because you got out and asked for directions. Remember the black girl went to the White House, knocked on the door, asked for directions, the white man shot her, blew her damn head off. You guys remember that a few years ago? Girl got lost. She thought she'd be a normal person, go knock on somebody's door to try to ask for direction, and the white man blew the black girl's head clean off. You guys remember that? Psychopaths is what you're dealing with. Psychopathy. That's what you're dealing with. How racism and psychopathy intersect. Study author Sandeep Roy, a University of North Texas clinical psychology doctoral candidate, became interested in exploring a possible correlation between psychopathy and racism after working with offenders in Arizona correctional facilities. He noticed that the inmates who exhibited more psychopathic traits were more likely to be direct racial slurs at him and other prison staffs of color. Psychopath traits such as a lack of empathy and callers are predicted. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but anyway, still predicted. I'm not going to read the whole article there, but just let you know you're dealing with psychopaths because we got to get to this Carl Rittenhouse. I'm in this Kyle Rittenhouse with this goopy judge. Give me a second. Just give me a second. It's hilarious. Boom, 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 boom. So we're going to go when he's been cross-examined and pull this up. He does all the fake tears and the fake crying. Come on, damn it. There's got to be a commercial.
Hi, my name is Tommy, and I would like to give you a few reasons why you should consider.
Give me nothing.
When you were there, what's next?
Okay, let me do this real quick. stop that. Let me cast this. Give me a second. No.
When you were there, what's the next significant thing that happened?
Dominic Black calls me and he says, Kyle, I need you to get down to the car source lot number 3. The cars are
So that's when he does all this
being
fake ass
setting
crime.
all the cars on fire. I need you to go and put the fires out.
Okay. And did you do anything as a result of that phone call?
I did.
What?
At the Ultimate gas station, I asked, I don't know who he is, but I asked an individual if he could come with me and if I could have a fire extinguisher to put out the fires.
Were both of those requests satisfied?
One of them were.
What?
I was given a fire extinguisher, but he said he can't come with me, and he said he believes there's already people down there helping protect the business.
Okay. And what did you do then?
I start running towards the car source lot number 3 to put out the fires, pausing occasionally to catch my breath and walk.
Okay. On the way to car source 3, did you have any interaction with Mr. Rosenbaum?
I did not.
Did you speak to Mr. Rosenbaum?
No.
Yeah,
Did you
dude, he
notice
couldn't
Mr.
get real
Rosenbaum
tears.
doing anything as you went down to car source 3?
I didn't notice Mr. Rosenbaum until. No, I didn't.
You had your gun, correct?
Yes.
And you had a fire extinguisher?
Yes.
And you had your medic?
My medical bag, yes.
And were you asking people about medic at that point?
I was asking people if they needed medical help as I was getting down there.
Did you receive any responses?
No, I didn't.
Describe your approach to car source number 3.
As I'm walking down Sheridan Road, I hear somebody scream, "Burn in hell," and I replied with friendly, 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 to let them know, hey, I'm just here to help. I don't want any problems. I just want to put out the fires if there are any. I continue walking, and then I notice the Duramax. I notice a flame in the back seat of the Duramax, and I step towards the Duramax, and as I'm stepping forward, I believe his name is now Joshua Zeminski. He steps towards me with a pistol in his hand, and as I'm walking towards to put out the fire, I drop the fire extinguisher and I take a step back.
Okay. When you step back from Mr. Zeminski, what's your plan?
My plan is to get out of that situation and go back north down Sheridan Road to where the car source lot number 2 was.
And did you get back? Were you able to go in a northerly direction?
I wasn't. Side. And I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski. And there were...
What's going on, my God?
There were people right there. Whatever. That's where I run.
We're gonna just take time for our break anyway. You can.
I'm gonna take a break. Oh my God.
We're gonna take a break.
I'm gonna take a
about
break.
10 minutes.
Oh,
Please
this
don't
rotten
talk about
bastard.
the case during the break. Read what listen on it.
I'm gonna take a rotten bastard. Oh, no. What's going on, sweet Mikey? Oh my God. Oh, what could it be? What could it be? Oh no.
But yet you have previously indicated that you wished you had your AR-15 to protect someone's property, correct?
I'm going to ask you to go into the library again for a moment, please. Please don't talk about the case.
Now, see, let me pause this. This is when the judge starts. Judge is now being a defense for Kyle Rittenhouse, no good ass, right? The prosecutor is really asking easily pertinent questions about his behavior during that time of having his automatic weapon, semi-automatic weapon, and the judge is trying now to say, hey, stop it. I'm gonna ask these questions about pertaining to his behavior on that night. I'm supposed to ask pertinent questions about this kid's behavior pertaining to the question. That's my job as a prosecuting attorney. But the judge is saying no, defending attorney when he's the judge. He's supposed to be impartial.
All right, so once again, jury being told to leave the room here for a moment. The judge once again having an issue here with the prosecutor in the way that these questions are being formed and some of the questions and evidence that is being brought up here. So we are going to hear from the judge here in just a moment as he talks to the prosecutor and the state here on how to proceed here. He gave them a warning before. Let's listen.
Your Honor, Mr. Binger is either forgetting the court's rulings or attempting to provoke a mistrial in this matter. He knows he can't go into this, and he's asking the questions. I asked the court to strongly admonish him, and the next time it happens, I'll be asking for a mistrial with prejudice. He's an experienced attorney, and he knows better.
Mr. Binger?
First of all, Your Honor, this was the subject of a motion. I'm well aware of that, and the court left the door open.
For me, not for you.
For me, not for you. What?
My understanding of
You should have come and asked for reconsideration. You did on the one motion, and in fact, I granted your motion for reconsideration.
That was on our motion.
Excuse me. I did. I granted.
We did not move for
Denied it, or I indicated is what I did. Held it open with a bias for that made it okay for you without any advance notice to bring this matter before the jury. I was astonished when you began your examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence. That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country for 40 years, 50 years. I have no idea why you would do something like that. And it gives...
Look, he's berating...
well, I'll leave it at that. So I don't know what you're up to.
May I respond?
Yes.
We filed another axe motion on this exact issue because, in my mind, and I argued this, it is identical to what was going on the night of August 25th, in the sense that the defendant was using this exact same weapon. He was using it in a manner to try and protect property.
No, he wasn't.
Your Honor, with all due respect...
I'm not going to rehash the motion.
The judge said no, he wasn't.
Absolutely untrue. No. Your argument's of record. My comments are of record, and why I ruled as I did is of record. There's nothing that I heard in this trial to suggest that anything's changed, even if you're correct in your assumption that you know more than I did at the time. You should have come to the court and say, I want to go into this. Why you would think that you could go into it without any advance notice to the court, I don't understand that. And as the defense is pointing out, you're an experienced trial lawyer, and this should not have been gone into.
Your Honor, there have been things in this case, testimony in this case, that I believe opens the door to this. For example, the defense has introduced evidence that the defendant pointed a gun at a man wearing yellow pants because that person was on a car, on the car source lot. Now, there's no justification that I can think of why the defendant would point that gun at someone. The defendant has just testified this morning that he agreed with that person in the yellow pants, that he pointed the gun at him. He said, I was joking when I said that to the guy in the yellow pants, but he said, he's acknowledged that he told the person in the yellow pants, yeah, you're right. I did point a gun at you when you were sitting on a car.
He said, I did. That's what he
Exactly.
testified.
So he's agreeing. May I finish, please? I'd like to have a chance to make a record if I could,
Now,
without being interrupted, if that's okay.
Now he's talking about the other black people that he was trying to ambush earlier that they don't ever talk about. That he pointed a weapon at these other black individuals talking about, did they need some help? They're like, nah, I want no help. Why you pointing the gun at us? See, the judge knows this, but this is not supposed to be said. He's upset that this is now being said in court. So he ushered away the jury so they couldn't hear that this young boy had violent tendencies to begin with by pointing a loaded weapon at innocent people who weren't doing nothing but sitting on cars before everything kicked off. But the jury's not supposed to hear that. Now that's completely pertinent to the case because that talks about his behavior and his intent to do damage to innocent people. So it's completely pertinent. But this judge is now denying this testimony for being put into his courtroom and letting the jury hear this. And it's very pertinent. So that's when you, look, Kyle's going to be found innocent, and this prosecutor has the right to go back and file judicial misconduct. He's not going to do it because it's a scam. Because the judge has got, this is judicial misconduct all over this case. Because what he's asking is pertinent to the case. This infers Kyle's behavior before everything else transpires. He's out there pointing a loaded weapon at innocent people, doing nothing.
He has mentioned that he's acknowledged that he's used this gun to protect property. He's also just acknowledged that he knows he can't do that. I am attempting to impeach him now with the prior August 10th incident, 15 days prior, involving the same gun, where he is threatening to use that gun to protect property. It goes...
He has the gun with him.
Your Honor, he is saying he wished he did so he could shoot people.
You know, there's a lot of difference between commenting about something when you have a gun and threatening someone when you do.
You know, it's interesting, Your Honor, because the entire defense, who was unarmed...
You should tell me what the defense theory of the case is.
Why not?
Look,
He who was unarmed, exactly.
What you just said.
They keep trying to make that Joseph Rosenbaum was armed when he was not armed. This Joseph Rosenbaum was not armed. Can you guys hear me? I still got sound. I still got sound. Yes, I got sound. This Joseph Rosenbaum was not armed. Can you guys hear me? I still got sound. I still got sound. So you know he was not even armed. They keep saying he was armed. He learned that with a gun. He didn't have any gun. So that's why you know the media's been falsely painting a narrative that he was defended. How can it be self-defense? No one had a weapon. Then Antifa wasn't out there with weapons. As all these crazy white supremacists run around talking about Antifa and the weapons, right? There was no Antifa with no weapons. He shot and murdered innocent people who didn't have any weapons. And he's telling the judge that, and just, I know, I said, I know that. Then why aren't you allowing me to put forth this argument in the courtroom? Why aren't you allowing me to put forth this argument in the courtroom then? This is the whole issue of the case. Whether he was what? Acting in self-defense. You can't say he's acting in self-defense and no one has a weapon. No one pointing any weapon at him trying to shoot him. The people he murdered didn't have any weapons. See, that's the fog of this fake case. All these white supremacists say he's self-defense. Somebody had a weapon pointing at him. The people he murdered had no weapons. The one that survived was a medic. Oh, he's Antifa. White people told he's Antifa up in here. It's Antifa.
I apologize, Madam Court Reporter, but I'd like to try and make a record without anyone interrupting me, if that's okay. I believe that there is a central part of this case that Mr. Rosenbaum is making threats that he has no ability to carry out. So, to your point, Your Honor, you're arguing that this August 10th incident, one aspect of why you don't believe it's relevant is the defendant didn't have the gun with him. This case is about someone who didn't have a weapon, and yet the jury is being told because of those threats, that means the defendant has to defend himself. So, with all due respect, Your Honor, mere verbal threats have already been shown to this jury and used as a basis for someone's subsequent actions. I am attempting, with the defendant, to use his mere verbal threat on August 10th, 15 days prior, that he's going to shoot shoplifters with his AR-15 to impeach the defendant in a murder trial. I would ask the court's forbearance to do that. I apologize, Your Honor. You're right. I probably should have brought this to your attention earlier. I may have misunderstood your ruling, because I thought your ruling was if the evidence in this case made that more relevant, you would admit it or at least consider it an admittance. I believe, based on the evidence that we've heard, and more specifically exactly what the defendant said earlier about admitting pointing a gun at someone who was merely jumping or sitting on a car, that the door is open now to this testimony. And I continue to believe that his state of mind, his intent, his belief as to self-defense is the core of this case. That was the basis for my motion. You were strongly inclined against it. I understand that. But now we're in the middle of trial, and there's been a lot of evidence that's come in that I think makes this relevant. So I'm attempting to impeach the defendant on his beliefs. I believe I'm entitled to impeach the defendant on his beliefs and on his statements.
I'm going to interrupt you now, because you're talking about his beliefs. I think that's what they call...
His statements do, Your Honor. Because he just said, can't use deadly force, can't threaten to use deadly force to protect property. So now I'm impeaching him on that.
Your Honor, the
I
court
talk about...
see no reason to change its ruling. And just so this record is clear, in spite of the lengthy statement by Mr. Binger, before we started today, the court specifically stated in Mr. Binger's presence, there's been nothing to have me change any of my rulings. There have been numerous occasions during this trial where they've opened the door. The one time when they're going into Mr. Rosenbaum's prior, the reason he doesn't like guns, and I said something, I whispered in Mr. Krause's ear, it's because of the prior convictions. Please stop, and he did. He knows if you're going to go into something that's been excluded in a pretrial order, you better ask the court, you better get permission. This is ridiculous.
It wasn't excluded, Your Honor.
You know why it was excluded in the first place? Because it was propensity evidence. That is exactly what 90404 is designed to prevent. You're talking about his attitudes. His attitude is he wants to shoot people. Now, I've admitted that kind of evidence in other trials when it's been appropriate. I didn't admit it in this case because
I've
heard in this trial.
I've admitted in other cases, of course, with his black people concerned. I'm sure he has. Now to help this little white criminal, I've allowed in other cases, but this case I haven't. Then what has changed in those trials to this trial where you have not allowed this testimony into the trial? This form of questioning in the trial. What has changed? He leaves no context for you to even understand what he's talking about. So this is judicial misconduct. This judge is supposed to be taken off the goddamn chair. This is blatant judicial misconduct. It's blatant. But since white supremacy runs the country, nothing's going to happen to this old wrinkled up no good cracker. Because he's a psychopath. Psychopathic behavior. Rampant. And that's what they are. So when you try to understand them, I always want to give you guys understanding from a clinical, scientific method of understanding. You're dealing with psychopaths. So you got morons out here on YouTube talking about be with white men, be with white women. They're psychopaths. They don't ever bring that up, do they? They don't never bring that up.
Mr. Richards absolutely correctly points out that just hours ago, I said I had heard nothing in this trial to change any of my rulings. So why?
Testimony, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
That was before the
Don't
testimony.
get brazen with me. You knew very well. You know very well that an attorney can't go into these types of areas.
You know very well I'm a psychopath and I'm protecting white supremacy. You know very well. Damn it.
So don't give me that.
Don't give me that. I'm protecting this no good little bastard here. And don't give me none of that. That's why I'm over the top with my shit. That's why I'm over the top with my bullshit. I'm over the top with it. I don't care. I'm old. I'm an old racist psychopathic cracker. I'm all over the top with it. Look at me. Hey, I'm going to defend him.
I see no similarity between talking about wishing you had your AR gun, which you don't have, so that you could take shots.
Call in. Let's see what has to do with white supremacy. Another psychopath in the building. And don't nobody listen to this psychopath.
Which are not.
Call up.
There's nothing in your case.
Numbers 850-368-9102. Call up.
The shooting for
and we'll tell you why it's white supremacy.
Every one of the incidents involves matters that involve seconds in time. So I commented at the time, I don't see the similarity, and I don't see the similarity now. If it's not similar, that's the whole rule. Those are all the exceptions to 90404. Check the authorities. Read more on evidence. Judge Weinstein, Colonel McCormick. It's the prior act has to bear the signature of the accused, or it has to be so similar as to suggest it's a common plan or something like that.
Back that up a little bit.
Court has no reason to change its ruling. And just so this record is clear, in spite of the lengthy statement by Mr. Binger, before we started today, the court specifically stated in Mr. Binger's presence, there's been nothing to have me change any of my rulings. There have been numerous occasions during this trial where they've opened the door. The one time when they're going into Mr. Rosenbaum's the reason he doesn't like guns, and I said something, I whispered in Mr. Krause's ear, it's because of the prior convictions. Please stop, and he did. He knows if you're going to go into something that's been excluded in a pretrial order, you better ask the court, you better get permission. This is ridiculous.
You know, his attitude is he wants to shoot people. Now, I've admitted that kind of evidence in other trials when it's been appropriate. I didn't admit it in this case because, to me, what I've heard in this trial, and by the way, Mr. Richards absolutely correctly points out that just hours ago, I said I had heard nothing in this trial to change any of my rulings. So why?
Testimony, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
That was before the testimony.
Don't get brazen with me.
Don't get brazen with me.
You know very well that
you know damn well you don't get brazen with me. I'm openly racist. Don't you get brazen with my white supremacist ass.
Don't give me that.
Don't give me that.
Number two, this is propensity evidence. I said at the time that I made my ruling, and I'll repeat again now for you, I see no similarity between talking about wishing you had your AR gun, which you don't have, so that you could take fire rounds at these thought to be shoplifters, and the incidents in these cases, which are not, there's nothing in your case that suggests the defendant was lying in wait to shoot at somebody, or reflecting upon the shooting for a vast amount of time. Every one of the incidents involve exceptions to 90404. Check the authorities. Read more on evidence. Judge Weinstein, Colonel McCormick. It's the prior act has to bear the signature of the accused, or it has to be so similar as to suggest a common plan or something like that. About as shoplifters versus crimes that involve instantaneous actions, whether premeditated or self-defense, that's for the jury to decide. But I don't see the similarity. I said it couldn't come in, and it isn't coming in, no matter what you think. Number two. And
call in.
What Mr. said about the progress of the trial, when, well, I said you were over the line on commenting on the defendant's pretrial. I'm astonished.
Now, shit, tired of it. Tired of this pretending I'm not a white supremacist. That's what I am. That's what I do. I'm tired of it. Tired of you pretending you don't know that I'm white supremacist. What I do. Tired of pretending. So over the top, me pretending I'm white supremacy. All right, there we go. Numbers right there. Feel free to call in. Get this work. All right. But oh, damn, Mike way over there. But so we know Kyle most likely going to go free. Because this white supremacy double down is right in your face. They say, how's this white supremacy? Well, when you have a child, 17-year-old kid, can cross state lines with a goddamn weapon he ain't supposed to own and operate and not go to jail for murder, it's white supremacy. That's why it's called that. It's not the boy that called Wolf. You're a psychopath and you don't see that. You don't understand it, so I'm not going to be trying to delve deep into your psychopathy. Deep into your psychotic mind. There's too many worms and shit up in there. Hold on. Shit. Hold on. Hold on. All right. There you go. Hold on. All right. Hold on. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. There you go. Hold on. All right. Hold on. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2. That thing is froze. Hold on. All right. all that good stuff and everything's gone. All right, let's see now. You should better hear now. You should better hear now. You should better hear now. Yeah, no, you. All right. I tell me arguing. Tell me off the bench. But we know they protect themselves. And nothing's going to be done. His apathy is on display. See, and that's on purpose. He wants everybody to see his psychopathy of supporting white supremacy. Okay, good. So how does white supremacy his father lives there? Cool. He doesn't and freely, openly kill two unarmed. Get in the car, state lines. Now, the psychopath. Hold on.